So in this episode we have a Pixar Easter egg, a mention to the Addams family, and a villain that could mostly benefit from James Cameron's help. This is Flatline. So this episode is Jamie Mattison's second episode that he's written. And this is a brilliant episode. The script is brilliant because it made an actor that I like, made me hate him and genuinely wanted him to get taken by the boneless. Talk more about that later. But first, there were a lot of references in this episode. First, the first train was the A113, which was the name of a Pixar classroom. And Clara mentioned the Addams family when she suggested the Doctor uses his hands to move the TARDIS across the train tracks. And this episode Clara said it all about the small TARDIS. It was adorable. To be honest, it just looked like one of those, the old 2010 8-inch flight control TARDIS that character released. And I can imagine people doing it, and since it's bigger on the inside, it allowed a lot of visual gags, like Peter Capaldi's massive face just up against the door frame talking to Clara, his hand coming out of his handbag, and even giving Clara a sledgehammer, which is played brilliantly by Clara and Rigsy. They looked absolutely surprised, and just PC Forrest is obviously rambling, and they're just looking at a sledgehammer coming out of Clara's handbag, and then she just goes up to PC Forrest and goes, "We think they're in the walls." And she doesn't even question the fact that she miraculously got a sledgehammer. That was just brilliant. Right, the main theme of this is Series 8's Dr. Light episode. It's not... Usually Dr. Light episodes only have the Doctor in for about 5 minutes, but no doubt this will be the least screen time the Doctor gets. Talking of the Doctor, Peter Capaldi does an excellent job, considering he's only in 3 locations: the train tunnel, the place where they land, and the TARDIS. So no doubt all his scenes were shot in about 1 day even. And the visuals in this episode, they were brilliant. Visual effects were key in this episode. For the boneless moving up the walls, the nervous system, the first victim spread across the walls, the skin, all that. We needed good visual effects for this, and luckily we got them. Because yes, the 3D boneless were just glitchy computer models of the victims, but any other case I would say that's horrible, but it worked here because they just made the transition to 3D. I think they would be glitchy. Talking of the boneless, they're just really here to invade, or they're just here because they're bad. Nothing else. They're just bad. They don't really have any plans. They're just examining us, and the idea that they're misunderstood and they don't know we need 3 dimensions to live was a nice idea. And we get to learn a bit more about the TARDIS in this episode because we find out that siege mode, which is basically when the TARDIS is under attack. That's that's what it turns into. But does it need that lever or does the Doctor really need to activate it before? Wouldn't he have thought about that in Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS? Or is that just me? And the rest of the cast, Jenna Coleman as Clara, this is really her episodes. The roles are reversed from last week's episode. Clara gets the most screen time. And the way she pretends to be the Doctor is just brilliant. Rigsy, played by Joyvan Wade, I think that's how you pronounce it. He was like Perkins, or Frank Skinner with Perkins last episode. He's brilliant, and I really wish he comes back. The only other character that really made an impression was Fenton, played by Christopher Fairbank. I hate him. I hate Fenton. So, Christopher Fairbank was brilliant. Now, if that makes no sense, I'll explain. I like Christopher Fairbank in most of the other stuff, like in Guardians of the Galaxy and all his other stuff. So, the fact that I hated him, or hated his character in Doctor Who, just shows how good of an actor he is. He can make you hate him after watching something else he was in when you liked him. Now, Missy, played by Michelle Gomez, makes another appearance, and the mystery is just getting more intriguing by the minute. I really want to know what her plan is, and luckily we only have In the Forest of the Night, and then we have Dark War and Death in Heaven, and then we find out. But no doubt In the Forest of the Night we'll get something. In the Forest of the Night. Well, that's a confusing thing to say. Now, the rest of the community workers I have no idea their names. And PC Forrest, played by Jessica Hales, she gets killed as well. That's the only flaw I have. Most of the supporting cast just are red shirts, and they're like the astronauts in Kill the Moon. They get killed. And that's the only flaw I have. Most of the supporting cast just get sidelined to be taken by the bonus. And Clara's plan at the end, since she's a first timer today, shouldn't her come up with more plans than just one? Anyway, overall, I like this episode. Clara, Jenna Coleman, Peter Capaldi, and most of the cast do a brilliant job. The visuals are amazing. Douglas McKinnon is the director, and he does a brilliant job as always. And once again, Danny Pink is sidelined to do absolutely nothing. But he's back next week, so he should do something. Yay! But overall, I give this episode a 10 out of 10. The only problem is the supporting cast, and I really don't think that should affect my marks. So, that's it for this week. Comment and subscribe. I'll see you next week for In the Forest of the Night, which is based on a book, which isn't sci-fi.